I drew Dr. Seuss's childhood home. Come draw it with me! Hi, I'm Diana, the artist behind MyMcDoodles. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be drawing a whimsical house portrait, and who's better to draw in this style than Dr. Seuss? Today I'll be using the free brushes that are included with the Procreate app, along with this textured brush that's available for free in my Doodle Squad. If you're not already a member, you can go to dianamcdermott.com/freebies. It will take you to this page where you can download freebies and also sign up for the Doodle Squad to access a full library of even more Procreate goodies. When you're in the Doodle Squad, you also have access to my free newsletter where I send out tips and coupon codes and like behind the scenes kind of stuff. For my canvas today, I'm going to be working in a canvas that's the size of my screen, but if you plan on getting this printed, I would suggest working in an 8x10, 8.5 by 11 to print at home, or 11 by 14 to have like a nice size illustration that you could get framed. Whatever size canvas you choose, make sure your resolution is at least 300 dots per inch so it prints nice and crisp when you get it professionally printed or when you print it at home. When I was trying to come up with which house we should draw together today, all of a sudden it hit me, why don't we draw Dr. Seuss's childhood home? So I googled it and I found it. The address is 74 Fairfield Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. You can scroll through and find all of these images and work from those, or you can go to Google Maps and this is the house right here. So you could just take a screenshot of the image and work from that. So you can just pick your favorite image from Google. I'm going to be working from this image here, and I'm just going to do like a head-on view of the house without worrying about the bay window and stuff on the side. I just want to keep it really like simple and whimsical and not worry about making it too detailed and certainly not like realistic. To work with the photo of the house that you have chosen, whether it's your own house or the Dr. Seuss house example that I've shown here, there are two ways you can use it as a reference image. You can either directly import the photo into your canvas by pressing the Actions menu, Add, and then Insert a Photo, and then you just choose it from your camera roll. And there it is, and it will use up one of your layers. And you can turn it off and on as you need to. You could zoom in and out or move it around the page, whatever. Another way is to use a reference image. So go to the Actions menu, go to Canvas, and then this choice that says Reference, just click it on, and then it'll bring up this window. You right now are looking at your blank canvas, so that's sometimes useful if you need to like zoom out and see what it looks like if you're really zoomed in and working on detail, you can see how the canvas looks overall. Or you can push image and pull it in from your camera roll that way. So I'll press import image, and then I have my reference image here. This window is resizable. You can also move it around the screen so you can get it out of your way. And you can also siphon color from it. So like if you wanted to use this like baby blue, you can siphon the color from it if you would like to do that way rather than going through your color palettes. So I kind of like this method because I can move it around the screen. I can leave it on. Whereas if I have it in this layer here, it's a little bit harder for me to work with. I have to constantly use the select tool to scooch it around, click it off and on, and I feel like this window for me is a lot easier. If you're going to be using materials to kind of collage your house with, you can go ahead and gather those up now. A website I really liked for copyright-free and royalty-free images is Pexels. P-E-X-E-L-S. I'll put it in the link of the description, but you can find all kinds of textures and cool paper and patterns and stuff on there. Just type what you're searching for in the search bar here, and it'll give you all of these wonderful free images to use. So you could use those to like cut out the pieces for your house, but I'm just going to keep it really simple today and just use like color fill so I don't have to collage it with little bits of paper and stuff. If you want to collage your artwork, then go ahead and gather up all your materials now and import them into Procreate. So now I'll pick my colors. I want to use like a light baby blue for the house. And then a little bit of a darker blue for like the railings and the front porch posts and stuff. So I'll just use that original baby blue and just darken it up a little bit there. And then we need a gray color. So I'll go ahead and grab that. And I'm just putting them into a new palette just so it's easy to um, get the colors I need quickly, rather than having to search through like my previously made palettes. And then I always include white and black just because it's easy to quickly tap it from here. And then we'll need a color for the chimney. And I really like this like light reddish color. I use this a lot, so I think I'll stick with that. And we'll need some colors for the bushes and stuff. I think those are the main colors that I'm going to be using. So to start, I just want to kind of look at this house and see what elements I would like to bring into my image and which ones I would like to kind of leave behind. So obviously anything that's in the front yard, like this has a sign in the front yard, I'm not going to include that. And then look for things you definitely want to include. So I see the house has 2 chimneys. I'm just like taking a look at the shapes that this house is made up of. So there's lots of triangles. It has like this one window in the front there, and then a few across the front, this like wonky little window, the second story like porch area, the railing, I'm going to include that, and then the front porch and the stairs, and then kind of like a little bit of the landscaping. So you can change things up as you need to make the illustration look a little bit cleaner or less like busy and crazy, as long as you're not changing like the major things. So I might change up the landscaping just a little bit and just take some like artistic leeway with some of the elements of this house, but overall it's going to look pretty similar to this. And then the siding, it could be really cute to have like stripes across or something. So just kind of like take a look if you're drawing your own home or a commission, then just like take a look and break it down in your head first. Just a tip, if you are drawing your own home and you plan to share it on social media, you might not want to include your address on the house. So this one has like the number on the front door. I don't know, you can just take it or leave it, but my advice for anything public, I would not include my house number on it. I would just leave that part off. So draw that in a separate layer so you can easily click it off when you export your file to share it on social media. So that's just my 2 cents. For this, it doesn't matter because it's a public home. So I'll include the 74 on the front door. When you look at the Google Maps image, you can see there's a 74 right here on this front door. That's kind of also why it might be helpful to have a few different reference images to look at when you're drawing a home you're not familiar with. So you can see like different angles and stuff that you might not be able to see from like the side. You can see a little better from this front view image here. The way I'm going to draw mine is actually with the select tool. So rather than using a brush and drawing the shapes, I want it to be like really loose and wonky, and I don't want to be like obsessive about drawing the shapes perfectly, or sometimes I catch myself trying to like control things too much when I want it to look like whimsical and messy. You don't want to be like all precise with your drawing. So I am going to force myself to make it wonky and crazy by using the select tool. So I'm going to press select, and then for the first part, which this main like square area of the house, I'll just choose rectangle, and you can go ahead and click on color fill, and then as you draw your shapes, it'll fill them with color. I want my light blue, and then I'll just draw a square that's going to be for the main portion of the house, and you can always resize these later, so don't worry. And then that's going to be my main area for the house here. So then just deselect it and kind of like scooch it down. And I am going to work in separate layers for each component of the house and then flatten things down as I go. So I've got my square, and then I want to make the roof. So I'll grab my gray. Let's go with the light gray. You can always change the colors too, so don't worry about that. And I'm actually going to make a rectangle for the roof and then reshape it to make it angled in. Let's just draw a rectangle that's a little wider than the house. You can resize it if you need to. Freeform works well so that you can kind of drag it in as you need to. And then I want it to be angled in, so I'll press distort and then just grab these top 2 nodes here and just angle it in a little bit. It's okay if it's not symmetrical because this is supposed to be really like whimsical and crazy looking. And let's make it about that tall because we need space for that little area here. I guess it's a dormer, is that what it's called? To stick out. And it actually has another roof, another like part to the roof behind. So we could draw another rectangle here. And let's see what it looks like from the front. I saved that picture from Google Maps and I just put it into my canvas so that I could see both angles of the house. It doesn't help that much, but I see it's like angled out a little bit. So if you were like perfectly head on, it would be like angled out like a little bit on each side. So I'll go ahead and draw another rectangle to make that second part of the roof. And you might have to go back and forth between your reference images and always work in new layers so you can move things around as you need to and nothing's like attached to each other. You can scoot it around as you need to with your select tool and then push distort to angle it in a little. And then maybe it's just like a little too tall, so you can use freeform to adjust the size up and down. So maybe something like that looks good. Okay, so then I want to make that dormer. I'm going to make it the same color as the main area of my house, that light blue color. And let's see, in a new layer, we'll draw a triangle and a square. So I'll start with the square. And you want to leave enough space for the little window. Looks good. And then a new layer, I'll draw my triangle, and I'll probably flatten some of this down because it gets confusing to work with all this, and also you will run out of layers. So to draw my triangle, I'm going to use freehand and then tap on one side of the square, tap on the other side, try to get it like as much in the center as I can, and then back down to that original node, and then it will fill it. And that's a really easy way to draw straight lines with the freeform tool, just by tapping rather than dragging your pencil across the screen. And then the chimneys. One chimney is like clear over here on the edge of the house. The other one looks like it's like here. I'm gonna make those in a layer like behind the roof. So I guess I'll put it behind the roof, but in front of the main square area of the house. And if you have areas like this, don't worry, you can just erase it out as you need to, but erase it before you flatten. So I'll grab this red, and then the select tool, the rectangle color fill is still turned on, and I'm just going to make two chimneys. I'm not going to worry about this one like going down the side of the house. I'm just going to make it end at the roof area there. Let's make it wide. It would be skinny because it's from the side, but it's going to look funky, so I'm just going to make it wide. And then this one here, let's just make another chimney, kind of like wherever. If you want to move it, just select that chimney, turn off color fill, and then just scooch it around as you need to. Okay, so let's see how we're doing here. Let's get rid of this for a sec. See, I'll make that one probably a little smaller. So they kind of match. Okay, and now we have the front porch and then the windows and stuff. So let me turn my reference layer back on. It's really easy. You just go in there and you click it, and there it is again. Let's do the porches, because then that will help you place your windows. So I'm going to do the upper level porch first and then the front porch. It is made up of like a series of like sticks for the railing. But for now, I'm going to draw a rectangle to kind of just get the placement, and then we'll worry about the sticks later. So I'm going to go ahead and make a box in white to make sure I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn off my background color so that I don't have a white background. And then I'll make it in front of the square area for the home. So that one. And I've got white selected. I've got my rectangle and color fill turned on, and then we'll just kind of place it like halfway and have it go completely across there. So that's where our railing is going to be for that. And then we need another one down here. You could even duplicate this one and just like scooch it down. Let's do that. So duplicate your upper level porch, and then I'm going to turn on magnetic so that it goes directly down, and then that'll be right there. So just for now, I'm going to leave that as my porch railings. I'm not going to leave them a solid rectangle, but I just want to leave them as they are for right now so I can keep going and work on placing the other elements. So I know that there are 4 posts holding up this porch to the ceiling. So I'm going to grab that dark blue and my select tool, rectangle color fill turned on, make a new layer. And I actually want this layer to be above my bottom floor porch, but below my upper floor porch. So those got reversed. Just check your layers, make sure they're all where you think they are. Okay, so I've got it in between the 2 porches. I'm just gonna draw 4 posts. So I want it to go to the bottom. And then I think I'll just go ahead and duplicate it and scoot it over like way to the other side. Okay, and then I'll duplicate from my original again, and then scoot that one over to like right about there, and then duplicate from the original again and scooch this one over. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You could use the grid to make sure they're evenly spaced, but don't forget this is supposed to be a really loose, wonky, fun design, so I wouldn't get too hung up on things like that. Okay, so those are my 4 posts, and then the railing's not going to go across the entrance to the home. So let's go to that railing here. Okay, and then I'll select that and erase it back out. So turn off your color fill. You can keep your rectangle. You're selecting that area there, and then you can swipe 3 fingers down and cut. Okay, you can see it's coming together now. So I want to place my posts for my upper floor, and they are directly above the posts for the bottom floor. If you want, you can just flatten that down, duplicate those, bring them in front of your upper floor's railing, and then scoot them up, and then use freeform to shrink it down because they're just little posts and they are skinnier, so you might want to adjust that. I think I'll adjust mine to make them thinner because they're just like little railings. They're not like these big thick posts. So I'll use freeform to squish them over a little, and then I'll just use my select tool to move them around as I need to get them lined back up. And they are all on one layer, so it's easy to just like use the select and grab each one and scooch it. And then the roof area here, so the posts aren't going to be touching each other. I want to separate them a little bit, so I'll grab a light gray and then just make like a little divider thing. So I want to put that on top of this white area that's going to be my posts. So I'll just make a new layer, select, rectangle, and color fill turned on, and then just make like a thin like floor to the upper porch and ceiling to the lower porch. And that looks nicer. I'm finding these white extensions kind of distracting, so I'll just go ahead and resize those really quick just because they are distracting me and it's hard for me to see if things are lining up properly. So let's just take those out. All right, so now we can add our front door and our windows. The front door, let's look at that Google Maps image and see how it looks. So it has like a shutter on each side and then a white door frame and then the blue door with the window in the middle. It has the number 74 in the middle of an X down here. And this image actually, the posts are white. I kind of like it better, like all painted white like that. But anyway, you can always recolor things later if you want to change it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so about the door. Let's go ahead and add the door in between the 2 posts, and then we'll have to add stairs, and then we'll work on these windows that are on either side of the posts. I'm going to center them. I'm going to forgo this stuff down here. I'll probably add the brick and the steps and the landscaping. So the front door, I think I might need to start flattening some things down because it's getting a little bit distracting and stuff, or at least grouping it into folders and labeling it. And just take a look before you flatten things because it's hard to go back. This I don't want to flatten yet because I don't want my posts to stay this white border. I'm going to draw on the sticks or make like a bunch of sticks with my select tool to make the railing. So I'm not going to flatten that down yet. Okay, I think we flattened everything that we can. So let's go ahead and do the door. I'll make a layer on top of the main house area, and I think I'll make my door first. So let's make it like the darker blue, And I got my select tool, rectangle turned on, color fill. Sorry for the mowers, it's kind of loud. Okay, so my door is going to be about that big, and just kind of like center it up. That looks good. No need to get too crazy about the centering. And then make a layer underneath of it, and then put the white door frame. All right, and then the shutters on either side of the door, and then the window in the door. So let's do the shutters first. And I think I'm just actually going to duplicate my door rather than have to draw it again with the select tool, and then just use freeform to reshape it. So scooch it over here. They're going to be even with the door frame. And in fact, you could put it behind the door frame. So you could make it really wide and then put it behind your white door frame, and then just adjust the size as you need to there. Okay. And I'll draw in the lines with my detail pencil at the end. So then I want to make a window. I'm going to use dark gray. The window had an interesting shape. So it has like this wiggly shape, and it's symmetrical. So I might make that later when I'm drawing in my details. Front of my door, I want to grab my dark blue, but it has to be slightly darker because otherwise it won't show up. And then just going to draw in an X. So I'll use freehand and then just draw in like a really messy X. I use the rectangle tool and then just make a couple of steps coming down. You can see that I'm getting really low on the page, so I'll probably have to scoot my artwork up a little bit. Let me just see if I can fit another step here. So I'm going to make them have like a little gap in between just because I think it looks cute. And then I would like to try to fit a third one. So I'm just going to scooch all of this up. And so I don't have to select all the layers every time. I'm going to put it in a folder so I can just kind of move that around as I need to. Okay, so let's see how 3 steps look. And then the sides, I'll use the freehand tool and then just draw like these sloped areas. And then let's place our windows. The windows in this image have a dark blue border and then white and then the window. So I'm going to place them using the dark blue and drawing rectangles first, and then make a white rectangle and then gray. So I want one window on each side of the porch here. So let's start with that. I'm going to draw one rectangle and just duplicate it all over the page. Let's do it on top of the house layer. Grab the dark blue, my select tool, rectangle, color fill, and then just draw the first window here. Okay, let's see how that looks. All of these windows are the same or close enough. I'm just going to make the whole thing one time with like the white and everything and the details, and then duplicate it. But once you do that, if you resize it, it will get blurry. So I'm just going to make them all about the same size. And then I'll make this little one separate and then this one separate because it's more of like a square shape. In a new layer, I'll do my white. And you can recolor things when they're still selected like that. Did you see what just happened? You can recolor, but I actually didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to deselect it. And then in another layer, I'm going to put my gray, or you could duplicate these and manipulate the size, whatever's easiest for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw mine. So I'm going to make a top part of the window and like a bottom part here. Okay, so that window is complete. I'm going to flatten it down. Only do that if you're completely happy with it. For some reason, every time you flatten things down, all of your hidden layers show up again. I don't understand. Anyway, let's just click it back off. And now let's duplicate the window. Turn magnetics on so it slides perfectly across. And now you have both of your bottom floor windows. Sometimes I like to flip it so that it's not exactly the same. You can even flip it a couple of times to make it a little different, but I just want it to be like a mirror image. So I'm just going to flip it one time horizontal, and then I have my two bottom windows there. And then I'll duplicate from my original. Always duplicate from your original because it loses quality over time. So if you keep duplicating off of copies, your stuff gets pixelated. I just want to see how they're laid out on this Google image. Okay, so this one is not directly above that. Maybe this one's not either. They look kind of crazy. These windows look a little wonky, which I guess works considering we're trying to draw a wonky house. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one where it is though. Where is it? This one. And then duplicate from my original again. I'm just going to try to keep these arranged so I can keep track of which window is which. And then take it up and over. And let's just stick it like a little bit to the left of the door so we have room for the little window. And then duplicate one more time. Take that one up. And then I'll put it above. Even though in the picture it's not directly above that one, it's kind of more scooched in towards the left. I'm just going to put it above this one. So those look good. And this actually looks like it's the same ratio as these. So maybe I will just go ahead and duplicate it and take it up here and resize it and just see how it looks. I'll try to keep the tops aligned. And then maybe like halfway between those two. It must be like a little bathroom or something. I think that looks pretty cute. I'm going to leave that. And then let's make this last one up here. This one up here in this like dormer. And I wonder if we could get away with just copying the same one again. I know I said I was going to draw it, but things change sometimes as I'm going. Okay, and then I want to put it, let's take it all the way up above this dormer so that it actually shows up when we scooch it there. And then let's just see how it looks. You generally do not want to stretch things and make them bigger. They will lose quality and they will get pixelated and blurry. So I'm kind of breaking my rule, but this is just for fun. See how it's a little bit blurry? That will happen. So if you're making this for like a client, I would suggest not doing that because you want it to print nice and crisp. You don't want like blurry stuff in the end. Okay, I think that looks pretty cute. Does it have space for the triangle? Maybe I'll make that one a little smaller just to make sure we have room for some fun details up here. Okay, so let's see how it looks compared to the original. I really like that. And so this house right now, it's kind of like floating. It needs like that stone area down here that will connect the steps to the house. Like there's a reason there's stairs up to the house. It's not just like floating in the air. So let's just put like a base down there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start adding details. So let's grab the layer there and go below it. I'm gonna go one level below it, and then let's see. I think I'll go ahead and just use the same shade of gray, and then make my shape. I don't want it to overlap. I'm gonna go freehand with color fill turned on, and then make one that's kind of like follows the same angle as that, and then ends at the side. Yeah, something like that. And then we'll go in and we'll add like cute stones or bricks with our detail pen. So I'll do the same thing over here. Our railing, why don't we go ahead and fix that up? So what I'm going to do, I decided I'm just going to erase out bits of it. So that is my lower railing. I'm going to select that. Let's get this out of the way for now. And then grab the select tool, turn off color fill, and turn on rectangle. And then I'm just going to go through and just cut little pieces out of it. And you can use the trick where you swipe 3 fingers down and press cut, or you can go up here to actions, and in the add menu, press cut. I never do it that way. It's just so much faster to do the 3 finger down swipe. Okay, and then the other side doesn't have to be completely even. Of course, you can make it if you want to. If you wanted to make it exactly the same, you could just go ahead and take out your placeholder, just cut that whole thing out, and then duplicate this area, and then just slide it over or flip it and slide it over. I think I'm just gonna go through and do mine manually though, so that it's slightly different than the other side. But I would like it to be kind of the same number of posts. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see if I can get 6 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Uh-oh, looking kind of funny. That's okay. I have to tell myself it's okay. It's supposed to be crazy. Okay. Oh, am I counting wrong? It is actually, okay, it is actually the same. I was like, wait, it looks the same. All right. And then we'll do the same thing to the top here. So I'm just going to do the exact same process that I just did. I'll meet you back here in a minute. One thing to note, you can make a bunch of selections. You don't have to keep cutting. I don't know why. I think my brain, maybe I need more coffee. You don't have to keep cutting each time. You can just make all your selections like this and then just swipe down and press cut. So sorry about that. You can definitely just use the select tool a bunch of times to save yourself some of the tedious work. There we go. Oh, make sure you're on the right layer though. If that happens to you, tap 2 fingers to go back to turn your selection back on so you don't have to like redo all that. I used to redo it all and I'd get all mad and redo it. You can just tap back and it'll reselect it and then go to the layer that you needed and then do it. It happens to me quite a lot. Okay, there we go. These posts need like a little topper, so I'll just make a real quick rectangle and put it across. Make sure color fills on. Mine didn't quite reach because I ran out of room on my screen, so just grab freeform and stretch it across. And then the bottom one needs one too. Just going to duplicate that, scooch it down, and then just erase it out. And these ones up here have a little bit of like a round, it's kind of hard to see here, but it has like a little round decorative thing. So I am going to add that with the select tool and the ellipse. I'm going to make a new layer, then I'll merge it down. So just make a circle, make sure color fill is turned on. It actually is like a rectangle. I don't know what these things are called. I'm so bad at like architecture names and stuff, but it's like a rectangle and then it has like the ball on top. But I'm just going to make like the loose ball on top, kind of like floating almost, because I think that looks cute. But make it how you like. I'm just going to make one, duplicate it, and put it on top of all 4 of my little posts. And then we needed one over here. I happen to notice this is extending out too far as well, so I'll go ahead and delete that out. Okay, I think that looks great. That looks really cute to me, and it looks kind of like fun and whimsical and what I wanted my just like flat color to look like. And now we get to do the really fun part and add in all the little details and some like landscaping and stones and bricks and things like that. There are so many layers over here. I don't like this many layers. It gets very confusing. So I want to either group these up into folders to organize them or flatten them down. I'm going to flatten what I can and then group the rest. So this is much better. I ended up with my window, my dormer, the roof, the chimney, the front porch, the door and like the bottom part, just because of the way the layers are arranged, and then all my windows and the main part of my house. That's much more manageable to work with than all those individual layers. So flatten down what you can or group it into folders if you have enough layers to work with. If you're working on a large document, then you will run out of layers pretty quickly if you have everything in individual layers. So now I'm just going to add in all my little details and fun stuff. This is like the best part for me. So some of the detail layers you may need to add directly on top of your elements, like the chimney, so that you can use clipping masks. Anything extra you can put in a new layer above, like your whole house, like the landscaping and stuff, I'll probably put in a new layer above the whole house. So I'm going to add the bricks to my chimney. I'll make a new layer on top of the chimney and then press clipping mask. I grabbed a darker red so that it can show up against this like more orangey lighter color red. And I'm using my texture brush that's free in the Doodle Squad library. It's helpful to like zoom out and just take a look. And I don't want to add too much, maybe just 3. Okay, so that looks good for that chimney, and then I'll put some over here. I like this brush because it automatically adds in that like textured look with like the gaps in the paint, and I kind of like when it looks like that. So that's about all I'll do for the chimney. And then our roof, for the shingles, I'm gonna go with the dry ink. Now instead of the shingles that are in the picture are like traditional shingling, but I kind of wanted to be like more fun and like whimsical, so I'm not going to draw them like that. So I'll make a new layer on top of my roof layer, add a clipping mask, and then I kind of just want to add the shingles like this. I know that's not what his house looks like, but I just think it looks really fun and like quaint. You're allowed to change things up when you're the one drawing your house. Feel free to change things up. It doesn't have to be exactly like it's pictured. Okay, I like that. And this layer, I can actually use it to draw my window panes as well. I'm going to keep the same gray. I try to draw as much as I can in layers, as long as it makes sense. That way I don't have so many to work with. So I think that this would be fine to draw my window panes in. No, it won't, because it's clipped down to the roof. So make a new layer, and then I'm not going to clip it down to that window. I'm just going to make it as like a free layer that I can draw all of my window panes in. So I'm just keeping that same gray. And I don't know if this is how many panes were in those windows. I don't think it is. I think there were more, but I'm purposely not looking because I don't want to get hung up on making it exactly like the photo. Okay, and I know this door had those like arrow hinges. I know they're not arrows. My door was like this when I was little. They always look like arrows. I'm gonna make them arrows. And it had number 74 down here for the address. And it did have a window in here. I'm gonna grab that dark gray, and then I want to make it that like swirly shape. I think I'll use the symmetry tool. So if you go to Canvas, Drawing Guide, Edit Drawing Guide, Symmetry, and then choose Vertical Symmetry, and see where it is, where your line is, where your line of symmetry is. It looks like it's actually in the center of the door somehow, but if it's not, then you can move it around to get it centered up where you want. For somehow it looks pretty good to me. It's lined up. And I want to use the monoline brush for this because I want it to be nice and clean. And then maybe a smaller brush. Okay, and I want it to be more square, but like a wavy square. So like that. That looks good to me. And then I'll just kind of move it into place. And I would like to put it behind my arrows, but really shouldn't be touching those anyway because your hinges would not go over your window. Okay, I think that looks good. So I'll go ahead and flatten that down and turn off Drawing Assist because I don't want it to do any more symmetry. And then just click it off here because the drawing guide is distracting to me. Let's do the stones down here. I think it was actually bricks. See, it's kind of hard to see. Yeah, it's bricks, but I'm gonna make it stones. I think I do want to use a clipping mask for that because I want to be able to go outside of the lines and not worry about it. So I'm gonna go to this layer here that has my base of the house, make a new layer on top, press clipping mask, and then I think I'll grab that textured brush again. Okay, and let's just draw in some stones. I think I'll even make it like real big so it's these like rounded shapes rather than so precise. For the house siding, I'll just make a new layer on top of my main house color and press clipping mask, grab the dark blue. I might even make it like a little bit darker and a little more saturated. Let's just see how that looks. And I think I'll use the dry ink brush for this. It's free in Procreate in the inking section of the brush library. And my new layer, I'm just gonna draw a horizontal line and hold my pen down until it gets perfectly straight. And you can even make it snap to like a perfectly horizontal line by placing a finger on the screen. And then I think I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate that line a bunch of times. And then I'll flatten it down. And you can kind of flatten it as you go too. So now I have 3 lines to work with. Now I have 6. And it makes it go a little faster. And then we needed some up in like the dormer. So I'm gonna just drag this all the way up in front of my dormer layer and then press clipping mask, and then just scoot it up there. Just gonna go ahead and flatten it down to my main color layer because I'm happy with it. And then let's see, I want to add a little more detail to that dormer and just put like a little roof. So like that, and then maybe grab this dark gray and put a little roof on top. Maybe I'll put a little bit of like detail on these steps. That could go in this layer with the stone. And then just put like these little like dots like it's concrete. Or you could put lines like it's brick. Oh, it needs a doorknob. There's no doorknob. Okay, let's go to the door. Oh, this is actually clipped down onto the door and everything. So I'll draw on that layer. So I'm not drawing directly on the door. And then just put like a handle. Okay, and those shutters needed maybe like a dark blue. Let's go with that dark blue. That's like a little brighter and a little darker. And then just draw in like these little lines. As you can see, my hinge is over my shutter. I guess maybe I should delete a little bit of that out. Okay, I guess we won't hinge our door to our shutters. There we go. And then the windows and stuff, maybe they should have like a little shine. So I'll go up to this main detail layer here and grab the dry ink. And I have white. I just do like this. I like to do that for windows and make it look like it's glass. So that looks pretty good for my house. Maybe the posts could use a little bit of love. They don't have much detail. So I'm going to grab that brighter, darker blue that I used before. And let's just add a little something to the posts. It could just be like, you could do like wood grain or just little lines. Just something to give them a little bit of texture or interest. Okay, and then I want to add just like a little bit of landscaping. The house is getting kind of big for the canvas. So if you need to resize your canvas to give yourself a little more space, you can. You can just press crop and resize, and then you can just resize it right here to like a little bit bigger. Maybe I should make mine 2732, so it's like a square. Keep it at 300, and then it'll just give me a little bit more area. And I did not resize my house. I only added a little bit extra space to my canvas. There we go. Now I have a little more room. So I'd like to add like the landscaping and the bushes here. In our reference image, they had like a little tree. Let's see what all they had. I'll probably just do my own thing. They have like a cute little tree in the front, and then one on the side, and then some flowers and stuff here. So I think I'll put some flowers in front of like the front porch, and then maybe like that. This tree looks kind of like swirly. I think I'll do that. And little flowers over here. They have another tree like that over here. So I'm just going to add in some random trees here and there. It doesn't have to be exactly like the picture. And I'm just going to get rid of it and kind of do my own thing. I'm going to grab this dark green, and this will be my landscaping layer. I'm going to use my select tool to draw my bushes so that they don't get too like hung up on being perfect. And then just kind of draw in like this tree over here. And we're going to add in little like leaves and details and stuff too. And then maybe some like little shrubs and stuff in the front. And another tree on the side like that. Let's see, maybe like kind of tall and skinny. And then we'll just add some like flowers and stuff. And it might also be cute to have like something to pay homage to Dr. Seuss. I think I'll make like a cute little red and white doormat, like the Cat in the Hat. So I think I'll just do that in a layer on top of my house here. I'm just gonna grab this less intense red and just make like a teeny tiny little mat. And then you can push distort and just stretch it out like we did for the roof. And just kind of resize it as you need to. Maybe we should make like, polka dots on it or something, or stripes. I guess maybe stripes. Let's see how that looks. Okay, I think that looks really nice. And maybe I'll put welcome in like a bright blue. I feel like those are like really fun Dr. Seuss colors, like the ink that he always used, the red, the blue, the yellow, and black. And I'm just going to try to write it in that perspective, but you can just write it normal and use the distort tool as well. But I think that does the trick. So it's just like a little something. They had a Cat in the Hat sign on the door, but I don't really want to add that. I think that this like little doormat also serves the same purpose. Okay, back to our shrubs. So I'm going to grab like the bright green and make a new layer on top of my flat color for my details, and then you can just be really messy with this. I'm using the dry ink. You can just like scribble in your details just to make it really fun, and just add a little something to your flat color. Maybe I'll add some like flowers in here, like tall grassy stuff. You can really just add whatever you wish to make it look unique to your art and make it just look really fun. Maybe those are like flower bushes. I want to grab like a bright pink, or you could do red if you want to stick with the limited color palette. You could just keep going with like the red and add in like some little flowers in these bushes, like they're little rose bushes or like peonies or something. And just like scribble in little flowers. Let's see. Yeah, that's looking really cheery and happy. And I don't know what kind of flowers any of these things are. I'm just kind of adding stuff in here and there just to add some color. So I always call them their whatever flowers. They're just made up. That's looking really cute. And maybe we could do like something in the sky, a rainbow, a sunshine, or maybe like a bird on the roof or something just to add like a little bit of life up there. Maybe I'll do a little bird on the roof. How about a yellow bird? He has those in his stories a lot. Okay. You could really like, keep going with this as much as you want. It's really fun to just keep adding more and more little details and making it your own, especially if you're doing your own house portrait. It's like super fun to draw and add in all this little fun stuff. Like a lot of times my bushes, like I lost a bush or they died. I'm like, oh man, but in your picture, you can make it anything you want. So if you kill plants, you can't seem to keep any flowers alive, you can just draw them in and it makes your house portrait look amazing, even though in real life, maybe you can't even keep any plants alive. Well, I hope this was fun. And I hope you learned some tips too. I'd love to see what you created. If you post your work on Instagram, you can tag me at MyMcDoodles so I can see your fun house portrait. Here's another video that you might enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.